Wow. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna say one thing. The first, I'd say this is one episode. It pretty much is. It's like an hour episode. Not for 40 minutes, 45-minute episode. And this, this is the first half of the episode. Say about 30 minutes into the hour and 40. We're great. We're great. Great finale. I liked how simple it got at first, with Milo and the balloons. I thought that actually kind of worked. Everybody worked together. It really reminded me of the ending to the first Star Trek film directed by J.J. Abrams. In fact, this is very similar. Okay, think about it. These two villains both want to conquer the galaxy. Actually, this is very similar to the first Star Trek season. This season, of course, is very similar to Star Trek 2009. Okay, the bad guy wants to take over the universe. He has a weapon that's powerful enough to destroy a planet. Kuvira has a weapon powerful enough to destroy a mountain and in a city. Um, the both main characters meet the older version of a classic character. So we meet Toph and Korra uh and Spock and Data, so on and so forth. But the ending really reminded me of that. The Star Trek and even reminded me a little of Star Trek Into Darkness when Mako was doing the lightning into the vine thingy, which was really cool. I thought they were gonna kill off Mako for a second. I thought the action, the animation was superb. Kuvira, like, okay, the bending was, I don't know what Kuvira was bending, was like some type of metallic liquid, but it was awesome. It was awesome. And also how Kuvira fights hand to hand, because she's really good hand to hand. Like, when she, like, gets Korra on, like, this leg hold and, like, smashes her to the floor, you feel that. I was like, wow, I haven't felt fighting like that in animation since Batman Mask of the Phantasm. It's just the way it's animated and sound. You just feel it. You're like, whoa. Because I know what it's like to get thrown down. Because I'm in martial arts. I've had people 3 times my size pick me up and smash me on my back. So it felt like that. I felt like that happened. So kudos to the animators. Kudos to the animators. Varric and Julie get together. I like that. Um, Again, I'm gonna skip forward a bit. I don't think we should have had their wedding. I thought they should have just had a party. Do we really need to see Julie's and Varric's wedding? It kind of reminded me of the after credits scene in Napoleon Dynamite. It really did. The wedding and thing. I don't know why I got that. Um, but That's I guess it doesn't ruin the episode. That comes later. I'll tell you what kind of like this season finale wasn't as good as Avatar Last Airbender season finale. It's not bad. It's just not as good. Maybe I was a little too overhyped. I was really overhyped about it. But it's really what's really good about this finale was the action, and they opened a spirit portal. I thought they put spirituality in it, and I knew that Kuvira's thing was gonna, you know, backlash at her, which it does. Hiroshi Sato, who was one of the probably the third main bad guy in the first season behind Amon and Lieutenant and Hiroshi Sato. He turns good. He gets a fitting ending. Okay, just so you know, guys, this is a spoiler. This is spoilers, okay? I don't beat around the bush with trying to hide everything. Okay, so Hiroshi Sato, they get those flying birds together because he found out a way to cut through platinum because the thing is made out of platinum. And he like invented the thing to cut through platinum and he stuck it on the flying bird mecha. He gets through it. He's like, but Kuvira is about to smash him, and she's like, "Daddy, Daddy, no, get out!" Because they're both in the same thing, Asami and her dad. And he flicks the switch to parachute her out, and he dies. I'm like, oh, I can't. I wish he would have came back. You know, I mean, didn't ruin it, but I guess that's like the one of the first characters in Avatar to give his life. Except for maybe the explosion with Amon, but that was more suicide. This one's giving his life to save others. um, I actually probably like the season 3 ending to Legend of Korra Book 3 change a little better than this. This kind of ended awkward, and I'll go into the first Bolin lava bending. Great, Mako's fighting. It's good to see We haven't seen Mako fight at all this season. I was looking, I was like, oh, because I liked how Mako fight in book 1, 2, and 3. He was a good fighter. His style of fighting is very similar to like modern day boxing with bending. It's really cool to watch. And I never got to see that. I mean, we saw a little fire trail he made for Prince Ru in like episode 3, the coronation, from the Kuvir supporters, but we never really got to see him fighting. And he fights in this last episode, and it's great. It kind of reminded me of book 3, where one goes after one bad guy and the other. Bolin, man, he can this. Okay, another scene. You remember how I said how Kuvira, she got Korra in like a leg hold and she like smashed her? There, and you can really feel it. There's another scene. It totally paid homage to Kevin Conroy's Batman in the animated series in Mask of the Phantasm. Is when he he makes this trail. He has the fire thing that Gazan had, and when he escaped from jail, he finally gets that. I thought that was cool. Kind of a harken back to book 3. He opens this like steam thing, but he comes up and he's like, boom, is like the sound effect. I'm like, oh wow, I felt that. I would, if Bolin punched me, I wouldn't want to get punched by Bolin. I think Bolin is actually as strong. I mean, at first I thought Bolin was stronger physically and Mako was probably a better bender, but due to Bolin getting lava bending, he's probably even more powerful. He's probably stronger than Mako now. Um, but again, really cool. We see Mako lightning bend, which we never got to see that much. I mean, we saw like 2 scenes, one in book 1 where he's in the factory doing it, and the finale with book 2 when he's fighting in the spirit portals. But here we get to really see it at use, and he's really good. He's like, and it explodes, and he almost dies. I thought he was gonna die because they have to take out the vine, and the only way to do it is to blow it up. And Suyen and Lin took out the gun, and he took out the vine, and the gun goes flying into the woods, which I thought that was kind of weird that it went flying that way, but I knew it came back later. Korra is fighting Kuvira. Thing explodes. She falls down. Korra helps her out of the thing, but again, Kuvira turns her back. Again, she has the long hair. She looks a little bit like Charles Manson. Maybe it's paying homage to Ozai, because she kind of looks like Ozai with long hair. She goes into the spirit world. She finds the gun. She hops on it. She hooks all the vines of the spirit world into the gun, and Korra's like, don't do it, and she fires it, and it's like all the vines in the spirit vine world just light up, and it shoots into the ground. It probably went to the center of the earth. And it's like going out of control. Kuvira can't shut it down. She grabs it gets in. Kuvira's almost like obliterated, but Korra hops in the way, does this Matrix revolutions thing again. Another thing these Bryke likes to do is they pay homage to the Matrix Revolutions. Okay, first of all, in book 3 change, when they were flying in the air, when she was flying with Zahir, I was like, okay, that's Matrix Revolutions. Here, they do it again. It's like, the scene where he gets into the virus and it's all lighting up. That's what Korra does when she hops in the way of the spirit vine. It's like, and the blast is so powerful. it causes another spirit portal to open up. And Kuvira, Tenzin, and all them are looking around the camp trying to, well, the spirit portal, new one, trying to find them. It turns out Korra and Kuvira are in the spirit world. And this is kind of, metaphoric because Kuvira is finally out of her element. I mean, she's probably the least spiritual villain in Korra because she's all technology. And she's now in spiritual. See, Korra is a battle between spirituality and technology. In the end, spirituality dominates technology. And so Kuvira is in the spirit world, out of her element, because she's a technology woman, not a spiritual woman. And she has again the Charles Manson hair, and she's like, why did you save me? And she's like, and actually, I don't mind Kuvira turning good. I really don't. Um, it's very rare to see a core villain turn good. It really is. I can Zahir kind of turned good, I guess you could say, at the end of at the book 4, episode 9, Beyond the Wilds. He kind of turned good here, but we never really got to see it in a finale. Um, so Ozai. This doesn't really remind me of Aang versus Ozai. Book three's fight reminded me of Aang versus Ozai. This is completely different. This really reminded me of Harry Potter again, Matrix Evolution, and Harry Potter 8, Deathly Hallows Part 2. Um, it kind of reminded me of the fight between old Voldemort and Harry Potter, because they're in the city and everything's blowing up and they're flying, and but again, Voldemort dies. He doesn't turn good, but here Kuvira turns good. She's like, what have Korra's like, I understand you. What the reason why I didn't kill you is because you remind me of me. You remind me of when I was young and rebellious. You remind me. And she's like, we're nothing alike. She's like, we're both fearsome women trying to fix the world and get what we want. And see, Kuvira's like, again, I was right. Kuvira was upset because she was abandoned as a child. Remember in my previous video I said that. Kuvira is upset because she's like, I was an orphan. My own parents didn't want me, and that drove in. How could How could Su Yan not want to spread her ideals throughout the Earth Kingdom and blah blah blah? And it it's really emotional. It really is. And Kuvira is you see Kuvira kind of become emotional because Kuvira is probably the least emotional villain we've seen. Well, even Zahir kind of got emotional. Kuvira has been very. I'm not saying she has no emotion, but she's very stern. She's a military type, and this is the first time we really get to see her act like a woman, I guess, because I'm not. Women are emotional, but that can lead to beauty in them. And I'm not saying, well, Kuvira really becomes. She really, when she turns good, she gets rid of her military. When we find out about her backstory, we turn out that she's actually just wants to make a name for herself because she thinks she's nothing. And I knew it was something to do with the orphan. That's why she's bad. And she's like, I just want to unite the Earth Empire and blah 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 blah. But I know your power is unlimited. Remember how Zahir says your power is unlimitless. And so Kuvira gets arrested. She's like, her men is surrounding the thing, and she's like, we have Kuvira. We have Kuvira in custody. Let her go. And Kuvira's like, no, stand down. And she's like, I realize my mistakes. I'm sorry the commotion I caused her family. Arrest me. So they arrest her. She's probably gonna share a cell as Zahir. That'll be cool. Comics do that. It was kind. That's one thing I liked about the movie Batman and Robin is how Poison Ivy got the same cell as Mr. Freeze. Maybe they'll do something like that with Kuvira and Zahir. That would be really cool. I hope maybe they do something like that in the comics. So I like that leading up to that. Now after that, that's when I think the episode starts to go downhill. It goes to Varric's wedding, like how I said. It reminds me of the after scene credits with Napoleon Dynamite. I don't know if they were paying homage, and even Napoleon Dynamite is there. His character Ryu. I just started laughing. I'm like, Okay, and Zahir, I mean, Varric likes technology, but not as much as Julie. He writes this weird poem for Julie. He's like, the only thing you have to do is get rid of my calluses. Other than that, you're equal. She's like, I'll take you with the calluses. I don't mind. Julie and Varric are probably the most genuine couple I've seen on Korra, because Korra couples, I'm not a big fan. So this is that I do like. You feel that they're not irritating. They're actually, they kind of look good together. Um, but the thing that really irritates me is it's just kind of played for laughs. The ending. I mean, okay, now compare this ending to the ending of the book 3 Fire of Last Airbender. That ending made me want to cry. It was just, you see Zuko and his friendship. Okay, now the big thing is the friendship between Asami and Korra, because it plays off like they're a lesbian. They do. I was surprised they didn't kiss. Now I'm not saying that it's a kids show, okay? And I'm not upset that they're a lesbian hinting. I'm upset because they threw away a genuine relationship. Because Asami and Korra were very similar to Zuko and Aang. At first they didn't like each other, but in the end they became friends. And I wish they would have stayed friends, because friendship is more genuine, you know? I mean, I'm not saying she should, get together with Mako and, but she I don't like it. I don't like that they hinted at lesbian, because it kind of ruins the charm of their relationship. I wish they would have stayed friends. At first it looks like that, but once they start holding hands and they're like this close to each other, I'm like, I can see what they're hinting at. And that's not, it's just, that's not the only reason. It's just the way it ended. Like, okay, now, if they did that with, saying that Aang and Zuko had a gay relationship, it probably would have ruined their genuineness of the charm of their relationship. Now, at the end, you see Zuko and Aang hug, and they're friends. They save the world. Here, it just makes the show seem kind of sexual, and I mean, even if they were straight, even if Mako, you know, is like, let's go to the spirit portal, and it ends. Any Ida, not just gay sexuality, but any type of sexuality at the ending of. I mean, I could see, like, if this was in the middle of the season, I wouldn't mind it, because sexuality you see everywhere, even in SpongeBob. But I don't want that to be the last thing you remember Korra by. That's what I'm sad about. That I don't want to remember Korra. Last thing of I don't want it to be the last thing I remember of Korra is her and Asami having a lesbian relationship, because I don't think the show should end that way. I think it would have been best if it ended after her talk with Tenzin. That's where they should have ended it. And the party just, I don't know, it just, maybe because I think it should have been like a world, not just a wedding, but like a world. Okay, remember in book 3 Fire how it's like the whole world gets together, like every nation? Here it's just friends and people we've seen over the past few seasons, which again we saw in Avatar, people we've seen over the past few seasons, but it was a lot more people like that. It felt more bigger. Um, okay. Picture this: Star Trek 6: The Undiscovered Country. Would it have been as good if it ended at a wedding instead of them flying into the stars and with the whole world in that one room? Of course not, because that's the last note you want to remember Captain Kirk and Spock by, not them at a wedding and you know Korra professing her love with Asami. But again, it's not bad. I actually really like this. I just thought that I just don't want to remember the last image of Korra I remember is just her in Asami, Hmm. Now I'm gonna tell you what I liked about the ending because I was kind of gave it a negative review of the ending. Okay, remember the wombat, the bats, the the bats from book one, the fruit bats or whatever team that was pro bending, and the guy with the weird bang type of thing. He you want to know what happened to him? I guess Korra didn't give him back his bending. She's That's not too nice. But anyway, we get to. I always wondered what happened to them, and we get to see it. He begins a band. He's like perfect at the trumpet. I thought that was kind of cool. Um, I like Prince Wu saying, I'm gonna get rid of the monarchy and make it more like the United Republic with just separate leaders in different states. I thought that was really cool, and that's probably gonna play a big part in the comics. But I guarantee you that Mako, again, I give this episode a A minus, which I gave. Okay, I shouldn't say in grade. I should do it like I give this episode a 91%. Um, book three of it's still better than book two and book one, but book three I think was a little better than book four because it had a strong antagonist um, that we never seen before, and so on and so forth. The ending was very Empire Strikes Back. The the villains were really cool, and the story of him getting the Airbenders was really cool. This is kind of this feels kind of like it's not bad. It's just I the other season left a big impact on me. Like the season three ending of Korra made me cry. It left an impact. This one didn't make me cry. This just left me with a question mark on my forehead. And again, it's not the lesbian factor. If Korra, if you know, they that's their business. I'm not the one to judge on that. But I don't want to the last image of Korra remember of her almost smooth. Maybe they didn't kiss. Maybe I'm just overreacting. But that's just kind of weird having that the last image. And also the animation on the spirit portal, fantastic, fantastic. I thought Kuvira got a fitting end. I thought, that's cool that she she uh she got arrested and kind of turned into a good guy. A good guy. I wish her and maybe Batard Jr. would have got together. I'm just nitpicking. Well, not together, but like like he looked at her and shook his head and just walked away from her, something like that. But it's okay. We already know what they're not gonna get back together. At least he's a complete psychopath. And maybe that's something they'll leave for the comics. But overall, I give this one a 91. Okay, book three of Change was like a 95. Book two, Spirits, was like an 88, and book one was like a 90. And of course, Avatar, Last Airbender Fire is like 100%. That was just the best finale in a TV show I've ever seen. Now I'm going to talk about my experience with Avatar as a whole. Great show. It's over. We're not gonna see another thing that pissed me off a little. I mean, not pissed off. I'm using too strong of a word. Way too strong. Maybe a little disappointed is it's the ending of Avatar, and it just kind of ended like uh Star Trek Nemesis began. Like it felt like the wedding, and it kind of ended like Napoleon Dynamite ended. I don't know. I mean, they pay homage to others. It's obvious they are a fan of Napoleon Dynamite, right? Because they have the guy play the Airbender kid, and his ending really reminded me of the wedding. Really reminded me of Napoleon Dynamite. But it's the ending of Avatar, and what really pisses me off, too strong a word again, is the disappointment that they're not going to make any more. I mean, we're gonna get the comics, but I guarantee you, this is the last we're gonna see of Avatar for at least 10 years, even that. I mean, Bryke said that we're not gonna do another TV show. They're gonna produce a miniseries, kind of similar to how Korra was gonna be. Um, but I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on the show. It's a great show. Avatar, Legend of Korra is great. Um, I would say Korra, all of Book Force, I would rank it. All the seasons of Avatar combined. The best season of Avatar is Book 3, Fire. Then Book 3 of Korra, Change. Then Book 4, Balance. Then Book 1, Air. And then Book 2, Spirits. Then Book 2, Earth. And then Book 1, Water. And each, I mean, I'm not saying I hate water, but it's like, since it's the beginning, it's kind of like, compared to the other seasons, it's kind of like, it's its beginning. It's the little drink of water before you get to the big jug. Um, but, Korra is gonna be in my heart, and so is Avatar Aang. If they do another series, great, you know. I'm glad Korra didn't die. I thought that would have been too sad. Um, I even predicted that. I was like, Korra might die in a previous video. But, I'm glad they didn't die. And the end, I'm not saying the ending was bad. I'm just saying that it didn't end on like a wow note. It ended on like a, huh, like I didn't get what they're doing into the spirit world. Um, but okay, so Korra and Avatar are amazing shows. My all-time favorite show is Avatar Universe. I'm gonna say Universe because I'm not gonna say Last Air. I mean Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. The Avatar Universe is my favorite show. Um, I'll give you my list: the Avatar, Star Trek: Next Generation, Taxi, um, uh, Bewitched. I mean Star Trek, the original series, then Bewitched, then probably, you know, I don't know, like South Park, but and s- those shows are all great. I have a few sitcom, most of them are sitcoms, but the Star Trek Next Generation and Korra are an Avatar universe, I guess you'd say, are my two favorite shows. I sometimes change between Avatar and Star Trek. But Avatar is so good because it's a kids show for the whole family. It's got it's got philosophical themes. It's got memorable characters. It's got great animation. It's got uh beautiful music. It's just great show, great villains. You got Zhao, you got Long Fang, you got Ozai, you got Azula, you got Amon, you got even Unalaq was I thought was actually interesting. You got Zahir and you get Kuvira. I thought Kuvira got a fitting in. Each villain I think gets their fitting in. I can't say that a villain in Avatar hasn't got their fitting end. I think each villain, especially, the only one I kind of scratch my head about is Azula, because I was like, what happened to Azula? I pictured what happened to Kuvira in this episode is kind of what I thought would happen to Azula in the search before I read it. Um, I thought she was gonna turn good and come to a spiritual understanding, but you never know what happened to Sula. She kind of disappeared. I guess leaves it's more powerful if you don't know what happened to her. It kind of paints a picture in your imagination. Um, but yeah, I mean this series is great, and whatever Mike Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko do next, I'll be behind that because these guys they they not only have imagination, but they've got philosophy. They've got morals. They've got character development. I mean, character arc. you know? I mean, Korra did have a character arc, and so did Aang, you know? I mean, Korra at the ending of this is completely different from Korra at the beginning of book one. And I think that's really cool. We get to see her develop over time. I mean, she's like 21, okay? Uh, in book one, she was 17, now she's 21. So this is really, we see a lot. I mean, Avatar took place within like less than a year, actually. It was like maybe about Avatar probably took place about like 8 months. Probably that's the whole series. Korra though, I mean Last Airbender, 8 months. Korra's probably about 7 years, maybe. I would say about about 6, 7 years. Stuffy nose, sorry, but 6, 7 years, and we really get to see her character change. You know, and I'm Bolin. You know, I'm glad. And that was cool when Bolin made the lava melt, and you know, my the fight scene in this one though, was like in this little thing on top of the thing, and how the on top of the mecha, and how they're fighting is like really cool. Kuvira, you know, she's probably the most violent uh bender I've seen. She's very like um everything except for the hint of lesbian in it. I'm not saying that they are, I'm just saying that they hinted at that. And I thought that was kind of inappropriate for a kids show. It'll be like if Mako and Korra, you know, walk into a restroom together and it just ends. I'd be like, what were they hinting at there? I mean, even in Avatar, I didn't like that. Like when Suki was gonna go into Sokka's tent, and he's like, they're hinting at something really like sexual. I'm like, I mean, I'm not saying, you know, I want to see more than, you know, sexuality is just kind of makes you go, it just makes you have a question mark. And to see it in one of your favorite shows, gay or straight, if they hinted at any type of sexuality, it's just really gross, you know. Even if, you know, again, like I said, is even if they were straight, you know, if like Mako walked into the bathroom with Korra, and then they just ended an episode. It's kind of the same thing. Like they walked into the spirit world together, and they're like this close from kissing. It just like they hinted at something very weird. And even if they didn't hint at that, then they're just friends. You know, they're just like, hey, come walk with me. And she's like, you really changed the world. And they walk into the thing. I would have been cool with that. Actually, I think it should have ended with Korra talking to Tenzin. I thought that ending was perfect. But you know, it's not bad. I mean, the ending still had great CGI. The way it panned up and said the end in some Asian language, I thought was really cool. Um, you know, Mako, I would like to see what happens to him. You know, Julie and it's this actually really reminded me of Return of the King. Another thing that they're paying homage to. Like the ending had like 5 different endings. Like you think it's gonna end and then it keeps going again. And I'm like, this is weird. Like it's doing paying homage to Return of the King. Um, so yeah, I thought it was great. Great. I mean, I'm not saying it was terrible. It was only one negative thing about it. I mean, even the wedding I thought was goofy, but I wouldn't say it's negative. The only negative thing was the hint at sexuality there. Other than that, I thought it was great. Even if it didn't have the hint of sexuality, I'd still say that this ending isn't as strong as uh, with Aang's story, you know. But you know, it's I mean, you gotta be appreciative of what you get, and Avatar is I'm just glad to even have Avatar, and I'm glad they know in the quick. Even though I'm depressed that we're not gonna see it again, you gotta be grateful for what you have. Even though I'm a little PO'd about not seeing it again, like I said earlier, I'm still a little grateful for what we have. You know, and you know what? Maybe it's for the best because, you know, shows like The Simpsons, you know, they're not even good anymore. You know, they had like amazing in the 90s, but now they're like they're really bad now. They've gone really downhill because they're running out of ideas. The story's not fresh in their minds anymore. It's just if it's probably like a short like, oh, do a Simpsons episode and brushing my teeth. And even something like um even something uh like SpongeBob, great show. Seasons 1 to 1999 to 2005 was great. After that, it really went downhill because they were running out of ideas. After the movie, I think a movie took a good chunk of their jokes. And, uh, the only show that kind of doesn't fall under as it goes, it gets kind of sucky, is South Park. Because South Park makes fun of today's society, and there's always something going on. And Matt and Trey Parker always have a commentary, so that's why South Park still stays fresh. I'm not saying, and that South Park has always been like a straight line. It never went uphill or downhill. It's South Park is just as good as today as it was in 1997, maybe even a little better. But because there's always something good. But with course, something like within its own world, it can get stale fast. But well, what I was mad at, not I guess disappointed about, was not that the series ending, but is that they ended on a hint of sexuality. I mean, even if it was in the episode and then something happened, but it's like the last thing we ever get to see on Avatar on the screen is maybe, in my opinion, maybe it was a genuine relationship, but it was just a little weird hint at sexuality, and you know what? I think that's not appropriate in a family show. Can't they just be friends? I mean, can't they just be friends? I think even Mako and Korra are better friends than boyfriend and girlfriend. You know, I, just let's all be friends. We don't need a soulmate. You don't need a soulmate, and let's just end it like friends. But what got me mad is not that we're not going to see any more Korra again, which again it makes me a little depressed. But that the last thing they ended on was a hint of sexuality, and the show was really good up until that. Um, that last scene. I'm not saying it ruined the whole thing for me. I still think it was a great finale. I love the fighting. I love the music they played. I love the animation. I love Kuvira's ending. I think Kuvira kind of very fitting ending. It's not the way I was expecting. I thought, the spirit cannon's probably just gonna blow up in her face. It was different. It was different. So that's all I have to say about it. Great show. Final thoughts on the Korra series. Korra, good speed to you. I hope to see you again in the comics. Korra, when I heard that they're gonna do Korra, I thought, it's not gonna be as good as Avatar. It's even though I said season 3 ending is better, as a show though, as a whole, Korra and Avatar are the same. They're exactly the same quality. They're the same goodness. It's like Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. It's like Star Trek. I keep going into Star Trek. It's like Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek The Original Series. They're both equally good. You know, again, quoting Wayne's World, maybe the original is a little more memorable because it's in our minds more. But if it's not, maybe the original is more recognizable because it's in our minds more. A quote from Wayne's World, but they're good. They're good. They're really good shows. And Korra, I blew my mind. You've expanded the world, you expanded the mythos, you expanded the spirituality, and you expanded the characters. You know, these characters, I have now no characters I know and love up with Sokka and Katara, Toph and Aang, Zuko. We now have Bolin, Mako, and all that, and now their stories come to an end. Very satisfying ending. Just didn't like the hint of sexuality. Other than that, I thought everybody ended up great. Mako, I don't know what he's gonna do. Maybe he'll help Prince Wu. Maybe he'll go back to the police force. Bolin, maybe he'll start like a lava bending academy. That'll be cool. Um, so great show. Um, I can't wait to see what Bryke has next. I'll definitely tune into them. I see what they do, and it's great. Great show. That's all I have to say. Salute.